Good afternoon. Welcome to the Committee of the Whole Council agenda for Tuesday, November 19th, 2024. I'd like to welcome everyone to our meeting this afternoon. I'll now call this meeting to order. Are there any declarations of interest? Seeing none, I will move on to our land acknowledgement statement. The town of East Gwillimbury recognizes and acknowledges the lands originally used and occupied by the First Peoples of the Williams Treaty First Nations and other Indigenous peoples, and on behalf of Council, I thank them for sharing this land. We also acknowledge the Chippewas of Georgina Island First Nation as East Gwillimbury's closest First Nation community and recognize the unique relationship the Chippewas have with the lands and the waters of this territory. They are the water protectors and the environmental stewards of these lands, and we join them in these responsibilities. We're at item D in our agenda today, and that's community announcements. I'm just going to ask members of council if they might have some announcements for us today. Councillor Johns, go ahead, please.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. I actually, this was the first opportunity I had to share this since his passing, but the Honourable Murray Sinclair, he was actually appointed Manitoba's first Indigenous justice, and then he was later given rise to be a senator in Canada. And so he was also the chair of the Truth and Reconciliation Committee. And I watched the service and I did some research on him, and it turned out that some work that we have done at the town through the Moose Hide campaign that we ran earlier in May, it turned out Murray Sinclair was actually the recipient of the 3 millionth Moose Hide pin, and I'm wearing it today. And just to share with everybody in the community, the Moose Hide campaign is an Indigenous-led grassroots movement of men and boys and all Canadians who are standing up against violence towards women and children. So I wanted to share that today and think of Murray Sinclair, but I also wanted to thank you and thank the staff for bringing this campaign to our attention. So thank you.
Thank you. Councillor LaHaye, go ahead, please.
Thank you very much, through you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to make two community announcements. The Friends of the East Gwillimbury Library author reading is taking place on Thursday, November the 28th at 6:30 p.m. here in the council chambers, and the author that will be featured next week is Robert Rotenberg. And we also have upcoming, because Christmas is fast approaching, we have the North Union Carol Sing-Song at the North Union Community Centre, which will be taking place on Friday, December the 6th at 7 p.m.
Thank you very much. Are there other announcements at this time?
Mine was already done. The library one was already done.
Okay. Councillor Roy DeClemente, go ahead, please.
Thank you. Yeah, I had made note to share the Friends of the Libraries event as well, given that Councillor Carruthers and I are the liaisons to the library board. I did want to just, I know it's Councillor Johns' committee, but he mentioned it. He didn't mention it because his was much more thoughtful. Mine was just a little bit more frilly. I just wanted to acknowledge all of the efforts that the committee and our staff put into the Santa Claus parade on the weekend. As I understand it, it was the largest yet. The spirit of the season was infectious, and it was very clear that it was very well organized. And I know that there were not just our Parks and Rec staff, but our bylaws staff, our fire department. There were all sorts of people from every area of our corporation who were in attendance on a Sunday, and I just wanted to thank them for that, and share that I think the community really appreciated that. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm not seeing any others at this time. We'll move along in our agenda with deputations. Item E. And we're looking for B Hall. Welcome. Good to have you with us today.
Thank you very much. I have provided something to the clerk's department. I wonder if they have it available.
Through you, Madam Mayor, just bear with us for a moment, please. Through Madam Mayor, just for clarity, to the deputant, are you referring to the spreadsheet that you had emailed? That wasn't part of the prepared agenda package. If council's okay with that, we'll be sharing that. Okay. So I'll just work with our staff to bring that up.
I can speak to it and summarize it, and we will be dropping off a package to the council office, and anyone who wants to read further about what's on that spreadsheet can do so after, at their discretion. Good afternoon, Mayor Hackson, members of council and town staff. My name is Bev Hall, and I have been the sole organizer of the Holly Berries Artisan Christmas Show since 2013. Each year, 100% of the proceeds from this charitable event are donated to the Holland Landing Lions Club. I am here today with Rita Whelan, Treasurer and Event Coordinator of Food Services from the Holland Landing Lions Club. For many years, we have enjoyed hosting our event at the Holland Landing Community Centre. In 2018, I wrote a letter to Mayor Hackson requesting a reduction in rental fees. From 2018 to this year, Mayor and Council have granted a reduction in our permit fees for hosting our event. After this year's show, I feel that our customers and vendors have now outgrown our current location. Today, I am here to request a discounted permit fee should we be able to hold our event in the new Healthy Active Living Plaza next November. Not only is this facility larger, but it is more accessible. The spreadsheet, which I have provided, illustrates how the Lions Club members have used my yearly donation to support people in our community. The Lions were able to provide a seniors breakfast and lunch for Mr. and Mrs. Claus. At Christmas time, they donated toys to South Lake Pediatric Oncology Clinic and bought $200 worth of gift cards for teens. They also donated money to the St. Vincent de Paul Society that helps people in need by providing gift cards, food, and toys. The Lions Club have supported families by purchasing winter clothing, a slightly used wheelchair for a handicapped child, a special mattress for a boy with physical needs, and specialized glasses for a local elementary student with vision problems. A yearly donation has been made to Camp Kirk, a summer camp that supports special needs children, and a person from our area has actually attended that camp. Donations were made to the Lions Foundation of Canada Guide Dogs, which gave a dog to a 10-year-old boy from Sharon to manage his special needs challenges. In addition, they have annually given money to a local minor softball team as a sponsorship. A donation of $500 was given to the Breakfast Club of Our Lady of Good Counsel School in Sharon to feed undernourished students because the provincial grant, which they applied for, was denied. My donation in 2019, just before the outbreak of COVID, when there were no fundraising events, enabled the Lions to pay all of their expenses and prevented them from having to fold. In addition, during COVID, $500 was given to a local food bank, and 2 computer tablets valued at $600 were donated to the York Regional Health Centre. To date, the Holly Berries Artisan Christmas Show has donated $14,000. In a week's time, I am going to give an additional $3,500, which will bring the total to $17,500. As their top donator, I would like to continue to donate as much money to the Lions Club as possible. With a reduced permit fee, I will be able to give them a healthy donation again next year so that they can continue to do great work in our town. The Holly Berries Artisan Christmas Show meets the town's strategic priority of quality programs and services. It supports the town's goal because the proceeds from the show are donated back to the community through the actions of the Holland Landing Lions Club. It's an example of a high-quality program that promotes healthy, active living and encompasses the diverse interests of our residents. This event also supports and promotes the arts, culture, and the heritage of EG. And the key deliverables are: it supports placemaking and community connection through a variety of events and recreational programs that support diverse needs and interests of our community. Thank you again for allowing me to speak to you today.
Thank you very much. It's very apparent that your organization is very, very important to East Gwillimbury and our community at large. So please share with them our thanks for all the wonderful work that you do and the difference that you make in many, many homes.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have a motion moved by Councillor Crone. Be it resolved that the deputation made by B. Hall on behalf of the Hollyberries Artisan Christmas Show regarding financial relief from town facility rentals be received. All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate it.
Thank
very
you.
much. Thank you. Our second deputation is W. Poon on behalf of the Lunar New Year Community Group, making a deputation to committee regarding financial relief for the annual Lunar New Year event. And I understand that they are virtual.
Yes, I am here. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Would you like to go ahead, please?
Sure. Thank you very much, everyone. I'm just here to ask if we are able to, if the town will be able to waive the facility fees for the second Lunar New Year event. We hosted our inaugural event last year, and it was a success. We had about 500 plus community members attend, and we would like to carry that through for this year, for 2025, for the Year of the Snake. We are also going to be fundraising and asking for community sponsors for any of the events that will be taking place. But reviewing the facility costs, we're just asking if the town can waive that as well.
Thank you very much. I know that we'll have some discussion about this, not here today, but we will have discussion and certainly get back to you. And thank you for putting this together. I was certainly, I very much enjoyed being there and watching, particularly the little ones and all the fun that they were having. So thank you so much for adding extra to our community, and I know that the community certainly were very appreciative of you being there. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I have a motion, be it resolved that the deputation made by W. Poon on behalf of Lunar New Year Community Group regarding financial relief for the annual Lunar New Year event be received. All those in favor? Oh, Councillor LaHaye moved that, sorry. All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you very much. Yes, go ahead, please.
Madam Mayor, we've had two presentations from community groups here request relief. Are we directing staff to look at this and get back to council? I think anytime we have community groups, service clubs, nonprofit, not-for-profit, that contribute so much to this community, I think we need to entertain it, and I think we need to have an answer back at some point in the near future. So just wondering what sort of direction we're giving.
I'm seeing nods from members of council. If we want to have a vote on it, that would be fine as well. Go ahead, please.
Do we not have a sliding scale depending on who is renting? I'm just thinking that are we not already giving a discount to community groups? So I think maybe a report back from council about how these requests are handled would be very appropriate.
Thank you. I see Mr. Karmazin writing. Yes, go ahead, please.
I just wanted to comment too regarding the new Health and Active Living Plaza. I'm sure that we will want to encourage groups, especially for the first year, to generate activity in the new facility in Ward 2, to bring all of East Gwillimbury to Ward 2. So I'm hoping that can be looked at through the eyes of being able to encourage new activity and new patterns to come to the Health and Active Living Plaza when considering the request. Within the report, considering that within the report.
Thank you. Councillor Hay, go ahead, please.
Madam Mayor, thank you very much. Considering the time constraints and that we're fast approaching the end of 2024, and tomorrow we'll be debating and discussing and having other presentations from community groups that we provide funding to, would it be appropriate for us to add this to the agenda on December 3rd so that we could have a vote on a decision for these two presentations with their requests? Would it be appropriate to add it to the agenda on December 3rd? And I would like to make a motion that we do that so that we can move this process forward and have a decision for them before the end of the year.
Mr. Karmazin, could you comment on this point?
Through you, Madam Mayor, specific to the request to the Health and Active Living Plaza, it was the intent of staff to report back to Council to include the fee schedule for the Health and Active Living Plaza with the fees and charges bylaw in the new year. In addition to that, depending on the timelines for the Lunar New Year request, we could include a report back around the same time period, if that is something that is possible and council would consider.
Is it achievable, the timing that you have for this? New Year.
Through you, Madam Mayor, that would be our staff's proposed recommendation as far as a report back timing.
Thank you. Councillor Leahy?
Yes, just one last detail through you, Madam Mayor. The Chinese Lunar New Year takes place earlier this year, and it's taking place, I believe, the celebrations, because I'm on the committee helping organize this, that the date that's been settled on is either January 25th or 26th. I'm not sure exactly which date's been settled on, but to confirm, but it's coming up fast. That's why I was suggesting we might make a decision before the end of this year so that we know what the committee has an idea of what their position is with regard to whether or not we'll provide some relief with the rental cost of the facility.
Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think these might need to be separated out. The Holly Berries one is impossible for us to give relief from because we don't actually know what the rates are going to be, as far as I can tell. So that one, I think and given that it's an event that takes place in early November, I think Ms. Hall is coming to us in a timely fashion saying, I'd like to plan ahead. So I think from that perspective, I think maybe that can wait until we've set the rates and then we understand the extent of the expense. With respect to the Lunar New Year committee, I was under the impression that that was an event that was put on by our advisory committees, and it was done in partnership with the diversity, with DIAC and the Arts and Culture Advisory Committee. So if that's the case, I believe we have a policy that allows for our community groups to book our facilities without charge because it's one of our community groups, and maybe I'm mistaken in that, but maybe someone can clarify the nature of that event for me, please.
Do we have, Mita, do you know the answer to that one?
Through you, Madam Mayor. So last year, yes, this event was organized. Actually, Wanzi was and still is, I believe, a member of the Diversity and Inclusion Advisory Committee of Council, and so it was initiated that way. My understanding is, though, this year it is not being initiated in the same manner. It is specifically a community group that is being organized to support the Lunar New Year event exclusively, but perhaps Wanzi could provide some clarification.
Absolutely, thank you, Amelia. Through you, Madam Mayor, I am still on the diet committee. This year, we are approaching it because we had used a youth initiative fund last year. We had some expenses covered that way, but we are looking for relief for the facilities rental, specifically for this year, for the 2025 event.
Councillor Carruthers, go ahead, please.
Just a point of order. We had a motion, and then we had another motion, and then we had sort of two more motions. So maybe we can just clean up what we're looking at and speak to each one.
I didn't make a motion. I just said I felt like they needed to be separated.
And I
out
agree. I agree with that, but if we're going to go that route, then we need to clean up the other two motions. I think Councillor Roy Clemente has the right idea, is to separate these two. But right now we have a motion, and maybe we can take Councillor Leahy's motion as actually an amendment to the main motion, because I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you're just asking for, you're in agreement with the motion, you just want to change the timeline on it. Yeah, okay. So maybe we can deal with the amendment first.
Bev, go ahead, please.
As a single person organizing this event, you can imagine how much work is involved. And so I start the process in January and set up the application form that goes out to the past vendors as well as new vendors. So yes, I agree that my event doesn't happen until November, but the wheels are in motion in January, because if I don't book my vendors early in January, if I wait until May or June to start going out there, they've already booked in other locations. And a lot of them have been with me since 2013. As a matter of fact, out of the 62 vendors we had this year, 40 were returning vendors. So, and I totally understand why you would want to separate them, but I need to get those application forms out, and I need a realistic, and January is fine. I need a realistic idea as to what I need to charge to my vendors so that they will apply, and so that expenses are covered.
Okay, thank you. Comments? Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I was just looking, thinking about clarity on the opening, like we haven't had an even official opening or firm dates for help. I was wondering if Mr. Karmazin might be able to speak to any of this.
Through you, Madam Mayor, our best laid plans is to have the building substantially complete and delivered to the community in September of 2025, and we'll make best efforts to hit that milestone. There can be delays with construction that may occur. I just want to put that out there, so it may be beneficial to have a backup plan as well, so some type of other facility that we may book and work with the group should we require a contingency plan. In addition to that, there is another report back to council in later December that might be more beneficial to include as a potential report back that will give staff time to review the requests and report back on perhaps December 17th in advance of both events, and hopefully we can put a tentative hold on those dates for the groups, and then report back to council on December 17th if that's suffice.
I think that would serve the purpose. It's not that far away, and yet you'll have the ability to know if your timing is right at that point.
So do we need to get Susan to amend her motion?
Susan, could you amend your motion, and then we'll make sure that, okay, that would be fine.
Through you, Madam Mayor, perhaps we can bring the proposed motions on the screen before you, and perhaps council could guide us in terms of how you envision any changes.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I would like to suggest that, according to General Manager Karmazan's comments, he has suggested that they could have feedback for us by December 17th. So perhaps we change the date to December 17th.
Mr. Karmazin, does that put you in a corner, or would you like a little more time to see if we're a little closer to where we want to be at that point?
Through you, Madam Mayor, staff can commit to that date.
Thank you. So, Susan, did you have anything else to? No. Okay. So we have. I'll read out both. We have one motion from Councillor Carruthers, be it resolved that the two deputations be referred to staff for a report back to council or permit fee reductions. And an amendment, be it resolved that the requests regarding the Holly Berry's Artisan Christmas Show and the Lunar New Year event be included on the December 17th, 2024 Committee of the Whole Council agenda. Go ahead, please.
We didn't have a ruling on my point of order, so my point of order was that it sounds like these, we shouldn't have two okay, she's put amendment in there now, good. I just want to make sure these aren't competing motions, so this is actually an amendment to the previous motion, but it looks like it's completely different. I'm wondering if the intention is just to amend the previous motion, then they maybe can be combined. I don't want to be giving staff two different pieces of direction.
Mm-hmm.
And if both of these pass, we're kind of giving them two different pieces of direction.
Might we have suggestions on how we can eliminate that issue? Mr. Go ahead.
Madam Mayor, I'm wondering if what committee is really saying is that staff report back on December 17th, 2024 on permit fee reductions. Like, just insert the date in the first motion as a friendly amendment to the first motion, because I do see the point being made that we're being asked to report back and then we're being asked to report back again on a specific date. It does seem a little redundant. So that's a suggestion that might help.
Thank you. Are we comfortable with that suggestion? Yours?
Yeah, I would consider that a friendly amendment, and that's what I was getting at with my point of order. So nice that we came all the way around again.
We came all the way around.
Good.
All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you very much. Thank you for being with us this morning. Have a good day. We are at item F in our agenda, and that is presentations. There are no presentations at this time. We'll move along to item G, which is corporate services with Councillor Carruthers in the chair.
Apologies, I thought we were later. We have one item here, a presentation, and I'm going to turn it over to General Manager Gandhi to take us through that presentation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you, we have the presentation that is going to be delivered by our recently appointed Director of IT and Information Management, Rob Halko. And there was some discussion about this at the budget meeting yesterday, so I'm hoping this is going to provide a little greater insight into the work that the team is doing. We do have a second item that was brought late to the agenda, and that is regarding a funding application for which we need council ratification before we actually proceed. So I can talk to that item after Rob's presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mita. And through Madam Chair, good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to speak about the latest progress from our IT and Information Management branch. My name is Rob Halko, the recently appointed Director of IT and Information Management, and I'm honored to be in the center of a big budget meeting sandwich this week. I know it's a big week for you, so thank you for your time. You'll notice a shift in language throughout this presentation. Our perspective is that we're on a continuous improvement journey to help staff increase the efficiency and quality of services for the town of East Gwillimbury. Today's conversation is fairly simple. I'll provide an overview of our journey to date, highlighting some key outcomes and 3 examples of innovative solutions. And then I'll provide a preview of our technology strategy, which is currently in development. The strategy will be our guide to making the most effective choices for the projects we pursue and invest in. Continuous improvement is part of the design of the strategy, and it's part of our team's DNA. The strategy is our commitment to assess our operation in a practical way, prioritize our projects, and measure improvements over time. Importantly, and based on your feedback, the strategy will provide us the background to bring more specific business cases forward through the yearly business plan and budget cycle. So back to the start. Business improvement isn't new to EG, as you're aware. The modernization program was established to improve service delivery and efficiency, focusing on quantitative as well as qualitative benefits. It began with the Municipal Peak Performance Program in 2018, and we've continually been improving services since then. The timeline pictured here highlights some major milestones along the way. I'd actually like to pause to say a public thank you to Scott McNeil for his wisdom and hard work to get us this far. A summary of our funding. To date, we've received $1.1 million in provincial modernization funds. We've utilized $700,000 in town reserves, averaging $300,000 across the whole program. That's over 6 years. Our key investments are listed in the table on the right, highlighting projects and resources that have been funded through the program. There's a key note here, over 150 additional projects have been completed in that time, in addition to what's specifically listed. Next slide, please. From a high level, there are key outcomes that have been realized as a result of our business improvement funding. To be brief, we've improved core software systems and introduced some new ones. Our public systems have been improved. Our hardware and our cybersecurity have been improved. I want to highlight our digital forms, dashboards, and automations program. It's essential. It's an essential way that we bring efficiency to the town's operations. And I've got 3 examples to quickly showcase. The development status dashboard is an internal tool that gives us an overview of our servicing allocation yet to be built. And it gives us a picture of the overall status of growth in EG. It's a prime example of what we mean by information management. We're bringing together data from multiple systems to give an essential real-time information about our growth status. It's an example of a dashboard, but it also includes automations behind the scenes. A new solution available to the public is the Report a Coyote or Fox app, developed in partnership with the town of Aurora. Their animal services team supports our bylaw team. It provides a reporting service to residents, and it sends real-time information to both EG staff and the town of Aurora Animal Services staff. It's an example of a digital form and also has a related automation. Our final example is the new employee action form. It was created to streamline our critical employee onboarding, offboarding, and change management processes. The old process was a little unstructured. We had a basic form, but information was difficult to find and share about the status of bringing people on board. Now we've reduced the duplication and simplified the process. And again, this is a digital form, and there's an automation with that too. The theme being, we've really streamlined where we can in every example where we're pursuing some of these improvements. So what next? I'm excited to announce the IT and Information Management branch is currently developing a strategy that will guide our future projects and investments in technology. So why a strategy? It's a bit of work to get there. So what will it bring us? Clear direction and priorities is number one. Performance, we can measure how we've improved things over time and be clear about where it came from. Collaboration and transparency. Involve the town, involve staff, residents, and share information about the journey as we progress. The quote on the right means a lot to me. Efficiency is doing things right. Effectiveness is doing the right things. Our strategy is about doing the right things. We've connected the technology strategy to the strategic plan for EG. All the priorities in the plan require some form of technology, but two are impacted more directly, and that's our quality programs and services and a culture of municipal excellence. I've included some notes along the right side there about how they are key priorities for us. Now that I've shared a little bit about why, I'd like to talk about the what. Just quickly, we've got 4 focus areas: people, process, technology, and data. It's not simply just technology, it's how we run our team, it's how we interact with the town and all our staff. So how are we working with people? Are there processes needing attention? And we've added the data category as a way to highlight the importance of our information management practice. If technology's the brain, process the muscle, and people the heart, then data's the lifeblood. Finally, a quick overview of how this will run. We don't want to develop this and put it on a shelf. It's designed right into it that this is a yearly cycle where we'll conduct an analysis, highlight the most pressing needs, identify project priorities, and chart a roadmap to deliver them. Any significant initiatives will be promoted through the yearly business plan and budget. And that's based on your feedback. We know it's important to council to have more specifics. The strategy will guide our plan and resourcing requests. And it also will measure the success of the projects. In conclusion, regarding our journey to date, the investments in modernization and digital transformation have yielded strong results for the town of East Gwillimbury. Regarding our future, the technology strategy will allow us to continually refine our business improvement efforts and target investments wisely. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good presentation. Technology is something that encompasses so much of what we do, so it's good to have a strategy, make sure that we're well focused. Is there any questions from council on this? Councillor Leahy?
Thank you very much, through you, Madam Chair. My question is with regard to the first chart that you showed, and it was with the different modernization intakes. And intake number 1 was the first line, and on the right side there were some itemized pieces there, and one of them was the council chamber improvement you referred to. So I would like to get some clarity, whether you can confirm that that's the council chamber improvements that we were discussing yesterday during budget, or if this is an ongoing project to make audio and visuals reliable within the council chambers. Could you flesh out a little bit about whether that's taking place now or to take place in the future, and whether it's in conjunction with the budget piece yesterday?
Through Madam Chair, the project listed in the table is a past project. So that was the work that was done to get us to a point where we could have a hybrid council.
Okay.
And fully virtual at first. I think I wasn't here quite yet, but I've seen it come to the hybrid. And it was done very affordably, efficiently. I think we've done a lot in that area. The proposed improvements under the new audiovisual capital, which that capital is more broadly for any audiovisual need, but we know that there's a need right now to change how the connectivity, there's a controller in there that connects to all the video, and if it were to fail, it's a bit of a difficult swap in the moment. We'd be improving how we could pivot and keep council running. So that's the proposed project coming up.
Okay, thank you very much. So what intake level are we at right now?
All the provincial modernization funds have been spent. So they're closed, and the current request is with town reserve funding.
I think our CAO has a comment to make. Go ahead, Mark.
Madam Chair, just through you, just on that, because it's a good question. The mayor and I recently met with MPP Mulrooney just to talk about town issues and generally share information and perspectives. I just thought you might want to know that one of the things that both the mayor and I expressed was our great appreciation to the province for the modernization money provided to date, and that any other such grant programs that help us continue on that path of providing more efficient and effective services are really greatly appreciated and are really valuable to an organization our size. Some much larger organizations with very resource-rich technology and business improvement departments, maybe it's not as much of an issue for them, but for us, this amount of money has made a monumental difference to us. So we did just express not only our appreciation, but just a request that they continue to consider that moving forward into the future if there's other pots of money that they're looking to distribute to support local municipalities.
Thank you. That helps clarify, and I really appreciate efficient and effective versus modernization. I like to think we're already modernized. Any more questions, Councillor Leahy? Okay, anyone else? Councillor Crone, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and to our presenter. Thank you for the very interesting presentation. I was at a tech conference about 8-10 years ago when I worked in the insurance industry, and it was all the tech entrepreneurs were there trying to sell us their policy administration systems that each company would basically run the business from. One of the big ahas for me at that conference was, back then they were talking about artificial intelligence and how it was emerging and it was going to eliminate certain roles within the insurance industry. Underwriters, for instance, there's some basic underwriting jobs that could just be fully automated. Do you see AI having a place in municipal modernization, or effective and efficientness.
Through Madam Chair, absolutely I do. The degree to which, how, what, when is currently in question. We've got a little pilot started on an internal AI tool that we can use. One caution there is our information governed in a way that it keeps it internal where needed, as data tagged as confidential. So when an AI is combing through it and helping us with our processes, do we have the right boundaries in place? And so there's some verification needed there, and policy as well. So Bill 194 is coming up from the province. It requests that municipalities have policies in place for AI and cybersecurity. So we're already starting that work.
Through you, Madam Chair, that you touched on my next concern was about the privacy, and I think that's going to be one of our biggest challenges going forward, is protecting all our residents' information, because we do have quite a bit on hand. So thank you very much. No further questions.
Good questions. Okay. Anyone else? Seeing none, we have a motion to receive this report and presentation, moved by Councillor Leahy. All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. And we have a second item, which is just a motion, a council resolution for a funding application. So sometimes this comes up when a staff member is applying for funding, and then you actually need a council resolution to endorse it. We have one later on the agenda under finance, and this one is under environmental initiatives. I'll turn it over to General Manager Gandhi to speak to it.
Thank you, through Madam Chair. So the purpose of this report is to seek council's approval. The actual dollar amount is about $70,000 that would be coming in from the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. We would be contributing in-kind support in terms of staff support. So the total cost the total project cost is well, let's say 70 plus 40, so 110 plus that. There's another $5,000 anticipated in some costs there. So the application is due imminently. We have our manager here, Chris Ross, Environmental Initiatives Manager, who could speak to any of the details that council may have. And we are also seeking to ratify the resolutions at this evening's council meeting due to the timelines.
Wonderful, and we're very appreciative of staff who find these funding opportunities so that we don't have to add it to the tax base. So much, much appreciated. Questions? Seeing none, can I have someone move? There's 3 resolutions. One is to receive. The second is to endorse the resolution attached. And the third is that we ratify it tonight. Someone move that? Councillor Foster. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. And that's all we have under corporate services, unless there's anything else. Seeing none, I'll hand the chair back to you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. We're under item H, Engineering and Public Works, with Councillor Leahy in the chair.
Thank you very much. Through you, Madam Mayor. We have 2 items today under the agenda of Engineering and Public Works. And the first item is annual update for Safer Streets Initiative. And so can I have a mover for that, please? Thank you, Councillor Crone. And I would like to ask General Manager Molinari to speak to this report, please.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair. So this is our annual report to provide an update on our traffic program, the previous year's initiatives, and recommend new initiatives for the coming year. So staff last year continued with the base program to conduct speed studies, deploy the radar board, replace road signage where necessary, and address traffic concerns and inquiries from the public. There were also a number of traffic improvements that we implemented in 2024. Some of the highlights being the flashing lights at the pedestrian crossover at Centre Street and Mill Street. We piloted urban shoulders on Colonel Whaling between Leslie and Howard. With regard to that particular project, unfortunately, the speed studies indicated that the treatment did not have much of an impact at all on vehicle speeds. We also successfully rotated a new camera radar speed board at a few locations, and with the assistance of YRP, we were able to identify and address excessive speeding with a number of residents and motorists. Some motorists were more than doubling the speed limit on residential streets, and this was so successful in addressing those matters that we've included another camera radar board in the 2025 budget. In terms of new projects for 2025, we're proposing a couple of new initiatives. We're looking at piloting what they call crocodile teeth pavement markings on 9th line south of Harold Road to increase awareness of the posted speed limit. This is kind of similar to some projects we've done previously, but the line painting is actually much larger and pronounced. You would have a hard time not seeing these as you go by. So this may provide some improvement, but we'll pilot it and see and let you know what the results are. We also looking to continue with the proposal to implement the automated speed enforcement pilot. We'll be bringing a report back to council once we have all the details. But I would like to point out that we have included one ASC camera in the 2025 budget. We feel that's sufficient to start, but if council would like additional ones, we would have to address that through the budget. So I meant to raise that yesterday, but I forgot. So, and finally, we are proposing to install a new pedestrian crossover on Center Street at the Vivian Creek Park entrance in Mount Albert. And that's kind of our program. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions from council members? Yes, Councillor Cron.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Mr. Molinari, for your report. It's appreciated, all the efforts that we're taking to help reduce speeding and improve safety in our community. I know it's an ongoing, it's a chronic problem that we're dealing with, and I appreciate your efforts and your team. I know you mentioned about the crocodile teeth on 9th line. I know some of the residents there, they're my neighbors, and they will appreciate that. It's been a bit of an issue lately. The only other thing I would add through you, Madam Chair, is talking about the speed camera project. I was speaking to one of the mayors of our neighboring municipalities, and the piece of advice he gave me was make sure we have a baseline before we put the camera up, so we know what the speeding problem is there before the cameras, and so we can measure what the impact is afterwards. I'm sure you've considered that, but I just remembered it. I wanted to get it off my chest, so you had that for your own consumption. His comment was that when they did that, when they put in the camera, it reduced speeding by 80% on that street. So that was the initial report. I'm looking forward to seeing how effective this will be for us. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Are there any other questions? Yes, Councillor Foster.
Thank you. Just more of a comment to do with the speed board and the locations that we put them in. I know that I often hear or get calls, and I'm sure that everybody else sitting at the table does too. What do we do to close the loop? So we often send an email back to the people saying, hey, we're going to add your location to our list of where we're going to put these speed boards. Do we do anything else to close that loop so that we can say to our residents, your complaints were well-founded. They were, in this particular area, we found this, this, and this. Is that something we should be doing through social media? Is there some other way to do it, or are we just best to leave it alone and let YRP and our people do their jobs?
Through you, Madam Chair. Essentially, if somebody's called the town and made those requests, then our traffic staff would reach out to those individuals and provide updates of what we're doing and that sort of thing. If it was a request from previous years and we're just going out and continuing to keep that particular location on the rotation, then there may not be an active caller or resident that we would be contacting in that particular instance. But when the caller initially requests that, that's when we would reach out with those results. But we're not calling them back year after year with updated results. But you know, that's kind of what this report does, though, too. It provides some of those ongoing assessments of what's happening. If there are particular people that would like to contact the town, or if they would like updates, we can certainly do that. But it's probably one size. It's probably something that not everybody's going to want phone calls on that. So it's just a matter of finding what the individual residents would prefer.
Are there any other questions from council members? Seeing none, I would like to thank General Manager Molinari for providing those highlights, because I know how much work and how many projects they are responsible for throughout the year, and traffic safety is one of the most important ones on that list. So I'd like to take a vote. Councillor Crone has moved this, and all those in favor? And that has passed. Thank you very much. And item number 2 is Engineering and Public Works memo regarding the bridge closure, bridge number 110 at Queensville Side Road east of Highway 48. And could I have a mover for this, please? Councillor Crone, and I will give the floor to General Manager Molinari, please.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair. So this particular bridge is located just east of Highway 48 on Queensville Side Road. The bridge required emergency closure as a result of overloading by a truck or trucks, which caused damage to the bridge deck, thus making it unsafe to remain open. Fortunately, the bridge was planned and budgeted to be replaced in 2026, and so the design was close to being completed. So we're expediting that design now, and we're looking to advance the construction into 2025 in order to put the bridge back in service as soon as possible and minimize disruption. So, and just wanted to let council know that all school boards, agencies, emergency services, and the public were notified, and special thanks to our operations team and corporate communications for their great work in developing and expediting the communications plan and closure. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions from any members of the committee? Yes. Councillor Crone.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you to Mr. Molinari. In your report, you say part of the problem with the bridge on Queensville Side Road was that there were oversized vehicles using it. Are we engineering the next bridge to accommodate oversized, overweighted vehicles, or are we going to do more enforcement to stop them from coming? What's the approach you're taking there?
Through you, Madam Chair. So there's a couple pieces to that. So the bridge had some issues because larger trucks had overloaded it a couple years ago, and so we put some extra shoring in order to stiffen it up. After we did that, we actually had to lower the threshold for the bridge. So it had a temporary lower capacity associated with it, and some larger trucks went over it. So it may have been that it's probably the same size trucks that didn't that shouldn't have been going over it that did, and that's what led to its premature failure. Some of the things we are looking at doing is a lot of truck drivers just rely on their GPS to navigate to their destination. And so, you know, being able, and this requires us to pay some fees and be part of to enroll in a particular, with a particular group, but we would be able to put those closures on Google Maps and on Waze and those sorts of places, so that those routes are not actually coming up on people's GPS when they're selecting their route. So that may help to address some of that problem. Being out there to address loaded trucks, it's almost impossible for us to do that. Like, there's no way for our staff to be able to identify that a truck is loaded too much or what the weight of it is. So it's really, I don't know that there is a good solution to prevent it from happening. But in terms of bridge design, the new bridge designs are going to be robust, and we'll throw some safety factor in there so that they can accommodate a little more loading. It's just unfortunate. These bridges are at the end of their service life. They're quite vulnerable right now, and that's kind of why we're in the position we are.
Thank you. And Councillor, yes.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. This third bridge in Ward 3 that's, we've got out of service. It's a bad time to be a bridge in our ward. And it's worse to live near one. Our neighbors to the east in Uxbridge, they replaced a bridge on Sanford Side Road, not far from East Gwillimbury. And in my mind, I think it took them 3 to 4 months to replace it. Now, was that, I'm not sure if that was a planned replacement, and I know there's a difference in the speed at which you can replace a bridge, and if there's, not that I don't appreciate the speed at which your team has moved to get this done as fast as you can. Are there any interim measures that we could implement to restore a bridge? There's temporary bridges that can be brought in for short-term use. Is that an option, or is the cost prohibitive? I'm sure you've looked at it. I'd be curious to know.
Through you, Madam Chair. Yeah, we originally were looking at modular bridges that we would be able to just kind of drop in place. It would be a very, very quick construction process for that. Upon review we did an extensive review with two consultants on that. We're not bridge experts. We know how to program them, but we're not bridge designers. So, and this is a bit of a specialty area. So we looked into that, and unfortunately the longevity of it and cost benefit analysis was pointed towards putting in a standard bridge. I guess to your point with regards to timing, in terms of the timing that we've noted, we recognize that we wanted to over-deliver and under-promise. So we would expect that the bridges are most likely going to be completed before the time frame. We provided a worst-case scenario. So our intention is to put that bridge back in service as quickly as we can. So we're on it, and we'll get to that as soon as we can in 2025.
Are there any other questions from council members? Yes, Councillor Roy DeClemente.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you to Mr. Molinari. Your report notes that local access will be maintained. I'm just wondering about the rail yard wake park. It appears that the bridge will be closed during the spring-summer season, which is their high season, and I believe that Queensville Side Road is the main way that people would access that business. Otherwise, they would have to go through the village of Mount Albert to access Center Street to get to use the awkward intersection to get to this business. Have we been in touch with this business to reach out to them, maybe through economic development, to put some supports in place? Or will customers be able to cross, just not appropriately? Not on is the bridge completely closed? So we're going to have a plan to support the rail yard wake park then.
Through you, Madam Chair. So when we say that access is going to be maintained, it means that the bridge isn't the only access to provide access to that business. So there are other ways, they can go the other way around in order to get to that business without crossing the bridge. The bridge is out of service. There's no, and at some point there will not be a crossing there physically. So there's a period of time where there's absolutely no possible way of getting across it. But for right now, just for safety reasons, it's got to be closed. We can't have that open to the public.
So what that means is a lot of the customers who are coming to the rail yard are coming from out of town. So they're not going to know that the bridge is out necessarily unless they've been communicating with the business itself. So there's going to need to be some support, maybe through signage, through economic development, I don't know what, but I'd like us to be mindful of the fact that we've got a business there that is part of our tourism, and it's a local business that is going to be dramatically impacted by this closure. So I'm just flagging that now, so that we can put some plans in place. Thank you.
Yeah, through you, Madam Mayor. So we will do that. We'll reach out. But I think that's probably where this, if there are out-of-town people, that's probably where putting out, having Waze and Google Maps and the people from out of town will be relying on that to get there. And we'll have some signage, some better signage up, which is actually, we just ordered some of that. So it's all getting installed kind of as we speak. But we will reach out to the businesses and see if there's something we can do to help.
Any other questions? I have a question. The first thought that came to my mind was, other than the inconvenience to those who live close to the bridge, and I'm aware that there is significant increase to certain residents who have to go approximately 8 kilometers out of their way every time they want to go to their home or leave their home. But my first thought went to, is there any impact to emergency services and to fire response times with the closure of this bridge? And so I'm wondering if our fire chief may be able to answer that question.
Through the chair to Councillor Leahy. First responding units to that area will be coming from Station 26, located in Mount Albert. The access to Centre Street directly to the west shouldn't change their response if they're going to any area north or east of the bridge closure. Second and third responding units from other areas would likely see some delays depending on where they're coming from at the time of the call.
Okay, thank you very much. So if there are no other questions from committee, I would like to, Councillor Crone has moved this, and I would like to take a vote. All those in favor? Thank you very much, and that is passed. And General Manager Molinari, are there any other issues that you would like to speak to? For example, possibly the Highway 48 improvements that will be taking place hopefully in 2025?
Certainly. Through you, Madam Chair, Highway 48, well, two things on Highway 48. Their MTO just advised us that the speed limit is going to be reduced along a stretch of the urban area of Highway 48 through Mount Albert, which is great news. And our sidewalk project is on track to be completed in 2025. There's a couple of, we're almost at the end of getting some permissioned enters with some of the local landowners completed, and that was the holdup in terms of being able to get it. We were hoping to get it started this year, but we can't move those works forward until those permissions are in place. But there are some utility relocations that are happening, will be happening over the next couple weeks to facilitate that project, and with a tender early in 2025 for the construction works.
Thank you very much. That's good news for Ward 3. So, yes, do you have a question?
Move to receive the verbal update?
Yes, thank you very much. So shall we vote to receive the verbal update? All those in favor? Thank you very much. And seeing no further questions, I will pass it back to you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. We're at item L of Finance with Councillor Johnson, the chair.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. There is one item here. It's Finance Report 2024-08. It's Community Sport and Recreation Infrastructure Fund application submission. So I'd love to have a mover for this. Councillor Crone. I will throw it over to you, Mr. Marshall.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. This report is on here as we are looking for additional funding. The the province has announced 2 streams of grant funding under the Community Sport and Recreation and Infrastructure Fund. One was for replacement of and repair of existing sport and recreation infrastructure, and the town has submitted a request for funding under this stream. It had a deadline of the end of October, so staff have met that deadline. The other stream is for new facilities, and it's a first come, first serve application basis. In the application, it wasn't clear, but we were made aware that we need a resolution from council in order to submit the application, so that's why this report is here. We've submitted a request. We will be submitting a request for the maximum amount allowed under the funding stream of $10 million for the Health and Active Living Plaza. So happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Mr. Marshall. Any questions, comments for Mr. Marshall? I have a question, Mr. Marshall, just in the spirit of, I tend to ask this, but I will keep asking it. So do we have one central person writing grants and submitting grants for the municipality, or does each department handle their own grant writing?
So through you, Mr. Chair, the grant submission process is kind of decentralized. The finance department coordinates the tracking of grant applications, but depending on the grant, either finance will help support or the departments themselves will submit an application depending on the type of grant.
Yeah, Mr. CEO.
Mr. Chairman, the other thing that we've put in place is our strategic advisor also keeps a close eye on all sort of announcements, both federal and provincial. So anything that comes up on her radar is being distributed to senior management team for review and consideration, and then there's support provided by finance as well as Office of the CAO, if and as required, to the departments that are sort of the subject matter experts that are doing the details of the grant application. So we are really trying to keep a handle on making sure that we're aware of all opportunities. And the other thing that we've introduced more recently is, particularly with provincial grants, is advising for information the MPP's office so that they can provide support if and as required. And that was another matter that the mayor and I spoke to MPP Mulrooney about recently.
Great, thank you. I appreciate the dedication, because I think in our busy days we can lose focus, and the opportunity to have that dedication and focus on the grants that exist out there is imperative, and I think we can see from the dollar amounts that we're talking about that it is definitely well worth it, so thank you. So Councillor Crone has moved this, and just to be clear, one is to receive the presentation, or the report, I should say. The next is to confirm the town's ability to undertake the construction. The council endorses the application for the funding, and then again, as Councillor Carruthers called out, to have it ratified tonight. So Councillor Crone moved it. Any further discussion on this? All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries. Wonderful. Thank you very much. Any other items from the committee for Mr. Marshall? Mr. Marshall, do you have anything else for the committee?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I do have one thing to provide an update on, and it's with respect to the Canada Postal Strike and the town's efforts to deal with that, the impact. So so we've been working with our communications and customer service teams since the strike vote was held to help develop a plan on how we deal with the impacts. We'll be sending out communications to the public on our website and through social media with respect to some ways to deal with the impacts. People are still responsible for making payments to the town, so we'll be emphasizing the various alternatives for making payments and receiving your invoices. So things like promoting e-billing and online payments, we'll be promoting that. Vendors will be encouraged to sign up for EFT payments and emails to send their invoices in. And we're continuing to monitor the situation. If the strike lasts beyond the second week in December, we'll have to look at some options on how we get our water bills out, because that's when our next round of water bills come out. So more to come.
Thank you, Mr. Marshall. Looking for a mover to receive the verbal update. Councillor Foster, thank you. All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries. And that takes us to the end of our department here. Madam Mayor, back over to you.
Thank you very much. Seeing that there's no prepared items noted on the balance of the agenda, perhaps we can move to item O, which is other business. And that contains the upcoming council workshop, and that would be December 10th, 2024. I'll turn it over to the clerk.
Sure, thank you, Madam Mayor. As Council may recall, in the recent staff report that we shared, this is the mechanism to which we will be confirming the workshop topics that members of Council may be looking forward to. So we have received confirmation with respect to the updated Code of Conduct from the Town's Integrity Commissioner, and the individual will be attending the December 10th workshop that day to provide that, that educational session. So just wanted to provide that confirmation.
With that, sorry, go ahead, please.
Thank you very much, through you, Madam Mayor. And so I just want to confirm that this is a workshop that will be open to the public, and that there will be, what will be the approach to advertising and promoting this event in the public?
Through you, Madam Mayor, we typically follow the regular process, Councillor Leahy, with respect to agenda publication and notices. So advance notice will be in accordance with the standard protocol that we have for agenda publication.
Sorry, can I get clarification on that question? Or I feel like I'm missing something. Is there a promotion? Was there something Councillor was looking for to promote an education workshop, or?
Are you asking that question through the mayor?
I am.
To me?
Yes.
Yes. Well, through you, Madam Mayor, I'm happy to answer that question. I believe that the purpose of the visit for the Integrity Commissioner is to provide an educational opportunity on the Code of Conduct and other matters regarding her position, if I'm correct, or if the clerk would prefer to answer. And so, because it's being provided for the benefit of the public, I thought there might be some promotion of the visit from the Integrity Commissioner.
I'm good, Madam Mayor. I don't need an answer. Thanks.
Did you want to answer? I think me.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I believe you're waiting on an answer. With respect to the content, Councillor Leahy, as far as I'm aware, through the Integrity Commissioner, it will simply be what they will be covering in regards to the updated Code of Conduct work that they've been doing. So the details will be shared at a later time. I don't have in my possession any slide decks to fully advise you of all of the details that they'll be sharing. However, in accordance with standard regular protocols that we have for agenda publication, we will be following through with that publication at the appropriate time.
And with that, we have an adjournment moved by Councillor Carruthers. Be it resolved that the meeting of the Committee of the Whole adjourn at 3:18 p.m. All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you very much.